So let's get this show rolling. Number one, this event would not be possible without our program sponsors. And our sponsors are the presenting sponsor, which is Signal Theory, which we'll hear from a representative from their company very shortly. Our corporate host sponsor is BKD, our Martin Pringle, attorney at law, McGowan Construction, Strive Restaurant Group, and our speaker sponsor is Bombardier Learjet, as well as the Kansas Gas Service. So please know that these organizations are not just great supporters of the Chamber, they are supporters of you. Without these sponsors, we would not be able to allow you these enlightening and learning opportunities and experience. So joining us today is Ms. Lathy De Silva, Managing Director of Signal Theory. And I'd like to invite you, Lathy, for just a few comments. If you can keep it under an hour, we would appreciate it.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, Janetta, I will be quick because we have a treat and we want to hear every second of what Dr. Utash has to say. So it's awesome to be here with everybody again virtually. And, here we are in the fourth of the final series of Journey Unseen. So welcome, everyone. Here at Signal Theory, we really believe in how do we build into our potential? And we do that by listening and learning and really being courageous and also encouraging that in others. And so I think when you think about a woman of courage and a leader of courage, I always look to learn from Dr. Utash. And so very excited to hear her remarks today. And thank you so much for everyone being with us.
Thank you, Lathy. We so appreciate it. And always we appreciate your sponsorship. Moderating us today in a conversation with Dr. Utash is Miss Lily Wu. Lily's one of my favorite people in Wichita. But before I introduce her, I do want to ask that you, once again, once the conversation starts, please use the Zoom chat function for all your questions. And then there'll be opportunity at the end for Dr. Utash to answer them during the Q&A portion. So now for the exciting part. Miss Lily Wu is a reporter and 4 p.m. anchor for KWCH Channel 12. She's been a journalist in the community for nearly a decade. Yes, and she started at age 10. Lily graduated from WSU, Go Shops, with 2 bachelors in business and communications. She went on to the University of Hong Kong and she earned a master's in journalism. Lily is an active community volunteer serving on boards of Wichita Asian Association, WSU Alumni Association, and the Steve Clark YMCA board. We want you to actually join us in welcoming Lily. She is also the recipient of the Chamber's 2020 Exceptional Young Leaders Award. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Lily Wu.
Thank you very much, Janetta. I am so excited to be here today to moderate the last Journey Unseen, and what a better treat for you guys than to have Dr. Sheree Utash as your final speaker to shed light on that unseen journey. So I'm going to start off with giving you her very quick little bio that is on the website, but we're not here for that today, but I still feel like you need to know a little bit about Dr. Sheree Utash. She's obviously the president of WSU Tech and vice president of workforce development for WSU. She served as president of Wichita Area Technical College since 2015, and she has overseen the transition of WATC to the WSU campus of Applied Sciences and Technology, better known as WSU Tech. Prior to that, she served 8 years at the college as Vice President of Academic Affairs. So that is what most people might see on a website, but we're here to dig deeper and learn more about who Dr. Sheree Utash is and what it means to be part of her journey. So today we're going to tell you about her untold stories, about her career and her leadership journey. So I want to walk you through 3 very important parts of who she is, and they are her career, her community, and last but not least, her family. So I'm going to start off, Dr. Utash, nice to have you today. I know we're social distance, and I'm going to call you Sheree because I know you by first name. Sheree, you've told me many times how much you love WSU Tech, as well as the students there. But your path to WSU Tech has not been traditional. Let's talk about your upbringing in Wichita and what led you to your first job at the Wichita Eagle.
So Lily, thank you so much for being here, and thank you to the Chamber for this opportunity to be part of this incredible series, Journey Unseen. I am a Wichita girl. I grew up here. I've been here my entire life, and this is my home, and I plan to stay here. So my career track, though, is a little bit unusual. Not a lot of people know this. I actually, the only time I left Wichita was to go to Manhattan, and I spent 4 years at K-State, much to my dad's chagrin, who was an administrator at the university during that time. But I did spend 4 years in Manhattan at K-State. I do want to say I ultimately did get my master's degree from Wichita State, so all is good. But my journey, I started as a journalist. And when Lily and I were talking, I said, you know, that's where I cut my teeth as a journalist. I worked at the Manhattan Mercury, writing stories, and I ended up, my first job out of college was at the Wichita Eagle and Beacon at that time, so I'm going to date myself by saying that. The Beacon went away very, very quickly after I got there. I don't think I had anything to do with that, but it went away. But I was in the advertising department, the retail advertising department, and my very first beat was, if you remember, out on West Kellogg many years ago, there used to be a place called Manor House Furniture. Recently, that was probably the most recently, it was Ultra Modern Pool and Patio before they moved. Anyway, my beat to sell advertising was everything west of Manor House Furniture on East Kellogg. And that went into Goddard. Now think about back in the days, Goddard had a Sonic, a Stutz Locker, and I think it was an IGA. But I mean, I went up and down the streets, beat the streets, selling advertising, and actually spent 6 years at the Eagle in the advertising department. Left there when I started my family. Intended to go back. I was an assistant retail ad manager at the time, but then ended up taking a little bit different career pathway and went into private business with a construction business. And I actually also had a retail business where I sold lawn and garden equipment. And you know those little Dixon lawnmowers that have the 0 turn radius? I was the top salesperson 4 years in a row in the state of Kansas for those mowers. But then due to a change in my life, a divorce, I had to kind of reinvent myself. And that's part of that dash. You're always reinventing yourself. And so I had the good fortune to run into somebody at a luncheon, and I ended up being hired as an assistant marketing director at the West Side Center for Wichita State University 26 years ago. And about the third day on the job, she said, you know, I just need an assistant director, not a marketing director. And I said, I have no idea what that is, but I'm going to be the best darn assistant director you've ever met. And that's kind of what started my career in higher ed.
And Sheree, you did not touch upon this, but I'm going to make you because it's Southeast High School. You are a Buffalo, is that right?
I am.
So tell me about how significant your Southeast High School path is also to your career, because I hear that you excelled in 2 specific areas.
You know, I did. I am a product, I'm a very proud product of the Wichita Public School System, and I'm a proud Southeast High School Golden Buffalo graduate. And there were 2 things that I really spent most of my time in high school on, and really what captured my attention in high school, frankly. And that was the music department and the theater department. So I was very active in both musicals and music, and in theater and in drama. And I often go into the administration office when I go to see Superintendent Thompson, and I say, Dr. Thompson, I used to sing and dance on that stage in there. And I normally always make my entrance by singing when I walk into those doors and the security people are there by singing the fight song, the Southeast fight song. And so they've kind of gotten used to that. But I am a very proud product of the Wichita public school system.
I won't make you sing that today, okay, Sheree? That's okay. We're
I can
just gonna
do it.
move on from that,
do
but you can do that next time you're at Southeast High School, or the former Southeast High School. So obviously you've had quite a journey education-wise and some of your career. How has that journey helped you relate to your students at WSU Tech?
So, you know, at WSU Tech, I always say this, we're kind of in the hope and dream business. So people come to us, students of all ages, come to us with a hope and a dream of doing something different for their career. And what a absolute responsibility, but a privilege and an honor it is to work in the hope and dream business. And I always say two things. You know, we do the very best we can to assist people in our community of all ages for economic prosperity through careers, through education and training. And we try to educate and train the most highly qualified and competitive workforce for our community. And so, you know, for me, I was an adult student when I did my advanced degrees. I was a single mother when I started my master's degree at Wichita State University. So I can relate to our students, and I can relate to that change of life because I went through that as well. So as I look at them and I understand and I try to be part of what their hopes and dreams are, to elevate their families and their careers and their economic prosperity and their place in our community and create the best workforce for this community. It's great work. It's honorable work. It's fun work. And I mean, it's really special to be a very small part of their journey. And it's kind of what drives everybody that works at WSU Tech. We're really very mission and purpose driven. And it's just an honor to be part of that.
And Sheree, you touched upon this a little bit about being a business owner, so an entrepreneur, and that obviously helps you with talking to these young people about different career paths from academics to sales to being a business owner. How has that benefited you in your career?
So interesting, because I did come from a business background, an entrepreneurial background, and so I think that's really played well for me in my work at WSU Tech, both from a lens of building new programs for this, new academic programs, driving strategic initiatives for workforce development, both for the college and within this community, and for our students. Because they all have, like I said, they all have this hope and dream, and many of them have the dream of owning their own business someday. And so the whole idea of incubating businesses and giving people the skills that they need, that's a really near and dear part to my heart. Because, you know, that's part of the fabric and the DNA of the great city and community of Wichita, is this whole spirit of entrepreneurship that has served us so well. And that, in my mind, that has to be part of the resurgence as we look at the future of Wichita and the future of workforce.
Okay, so Sheree, you are a leader in many aspects of Wichita. But I'm really going to hone in on those three: your career, your community, and your family. So I had a chance to talk to some of those that are closest to you and ask them about your leadership in those three aspects. And this is what the first one's going to say. So this is leadership in your career. Andy McFadden is the Executive Director of Strategic Communications for WSU Tech. He's been working with you for over 2 decades, and he told me this: Sheree has the most amazing way of giving us the autonomy and resources to reach goals without micromanaging folks in the process. All of that happens so effortlessly with utmost confidence and respect. So what does it take to hire wonderful people that you trust, and the right people really, like Andy?
So Andy Andy was one of my very first hires in higher education. He was 17 years old. He was a senior at Derby High School, and I hired him as a student assistant. And back in those days, it was Andy and Sheree and nobody else. And over the years, his career has certainly, completely blossomed and bloomed. And he's just an incredibly valued person to me. Somebody I work with every day, but he's like a son to me. But when I think about it, it sounds trivial. It may sound trite, but I have always believed that you are only as good as the people that you hire, and you have to look for talent. And I always have kind of used the whole Patrick Lencioni hire for hungry, humble, and smart meaning emotionally smart. Yes, intelligent smarts is good, but emotionally smart is really important. So that emotional intelligence. And I really, truly have just tried to surround myself with people that are extremely talented, much smarter than I am. You cast a vision and share that with them and let them go to work and let them do the good work that they can do. And then the most important thing is to pass that credit on back to them once they've done that good work. So I'm really blessed. My leadership team right now has many, many years of experience with me and with the college, and even in 2 or 3 cases prior to being at WATC and WSU, so working with me for many years. So it's, you can do great things if you surround yourself with great people, and I truly am a big believer of that. And hire for hungry, humble, and emotionally smart.
Andy also added, she has an amazing talent for her family and work-life balance. When you were originally starting in your career, how did your family impact that journey?
Well, I'm probably not the poster child for that early on in my career. I'm just going to tell you, and I hope that if I can impart any nugget of wisdom, it took me a long time to find the balance, and I feel like I've really struck that balance in the last 10, 12 years. But it did take me a long time to do it, and it's hard. It's super hard. It's not easy. There is no magic secret sauce to it. There's no magic bullet. But I think that we just have to be very intentional in how we balance our families and our work life. And there's different seasons of life where you're going to be able to balance it different ways. It won't always be equal. But there are seasons within your life as your family, and there are seasons within your life as your career that I think you can kind of give and take through those periods of time. So it's taken me a while to do that. I definitely say I'm not the poster child for it, and I wouldn't win the Mom of the Year award in my early days. But I've got to tell you, finding that balance that works for you. And it has to just work for you. It may not be the same for everybody, and it won't be. And then give yourself a little grace, because there are seasons in your life where your family's going to be probably taking up more time, and then there's seasons in your life where your career can take up more time. So give yourself some grace, give yourself an abundance of understanding about that, and there's no greater joy than to find a balance between your career and your family. No greater joy.
What a great segue, because we're talking about career and family, but there's something in between there that's also very important. And for you, it's leadership in the community. So I had a chance to ask Shelly Pritchard, president of the Wichita Community Foundation, to tell me about you and leadership in the community. She told me that you guys have worked on projects like Wichita Promise Move, and you've learned a lot through Chung, learning that the most critical part of any project is the leader. So she said this about you. Sheree is absolutely a leader on whom we are willing to make a bet with funding. She also told me that she admires most about you as a leader in the community is your ability to see a need, an opportunity, or a gap and take the actions needed to find solutions to benefit so many people. So my question to you is, what drives you to serve this community? Where does that drive come from?
Well, first of all, these people are extremely kind, and you really did do your homework, Lily, and I appreciate that. But, you know, I believe very strongly that we have a commitment to our community. And each of us during our period of time, during that period of time where you can give back to your community, and again, this is another thing I would say, when you have young children at home, give yourself a little grace. You're not going to be able to contribute quite as much as you will later on. But it's really important to me that we pay it forward and we pay back to the community that's been so good to us. I learned very young in life, and my dad taught me this from the time I was a very little girl. He always said, you want to leave this world a better place because of your presence. And I watched him do that. I watched him do that, and I continue to watch him do that, frankly. And that's been a driving factor for me in my life. And I hope I pass that on to my son and daughters, and I hope that they will pass it on to my grandchildren, because I think it's so important. I think you have to give back to the community that's so richly given to you. And I said I was a proud graduate of Wichita Public Schools. They influenced my life in so many ways. Ruth McCormick, who was my theater teacher, Vern Nicholson, who was my vocal music teacher. I mean, just to talk about a couple of people, they so influenced my life at a very young age. And I think that we owe it to our communities to embrace them, to love them, to lead, to be involved, and to give back wherever we can. And when we see a need, somebody's got to do it. It's like Fidelity Bank. I love their billboard that says, bravely onward, who will do it? Somebody's got to do it. Everybody can play a role. And if you see a gap that you can fill, then jump in there and be part of leading and fixing and being part of your community. Because we all want this community to be better because of the time and the influence that we've had during our time here.
Mm-hmm. And Sheree, obviously, you're so action-driven, and it's evident in what you do every day. But obviously, we've all had challenges like the pandemic. So how has that affected you in being so action-driven during a time when everyone's just so antsy and anxious?
Well, great question. And certainly the last 7 months have been extremely difficult times for everyone, for a multitude of reasons. So if I look at the challenge for me, it is, we had guiding principles that we were very intent on. And we were very focused on the health and safety of all of our students and our faculty and staff, but also making sure that we were true to our students and that we found a clear path forward for them with success. And so those guiding principles have really served us really well during this period of time. I will be very honest and transparent with you. I love action. I love planning. I love thinking about the future and envisioning what's next. And these 7 months have been a lot of day-to-day operational things. So it brings out a different style of leadership that maybe I know I hadn't tapped into for a long time, and probably a lot of other people maybe haven't tapped into. But again, we've just got to stay focused on learning to exist with the virus and moving this city and our community and all of our citizens forward so that we're stronger when we come out of this. So historically, anytime you go through something of great challenge or great turbulence or uncomfortableness, you usually come out with a stronger community and a stronger move to go forward. So I hope that will be the case. I believe it will be. And I believe there's a great sense of urgency for all of us to do that. But I've often said, Lily, there are a lot of case studies that could be written over the last 7 months for educational leadership that no one can get in a book.
Thank you, Sheree, for leading not only in your career, but also here in our community. But I think one area that you lead the most and you're most passionate about is leading with your family. So I'm going to talk about two parts of your family, the born into family and the chosen family. Mm-hmm. So you were born into a family with two amazing parents, and I hear that something big is happening this weekend, something great is happening this weekend. And I know that your parents are a very big part of who you are. Mm-hmm. So anyone that knows you knows your wonderful relationship with your mom and dad. So we wanted to know, how have they shaped and helped you with your journey and into who you are today?
Well, certainly my parents have been incredible mentors to me. They've been parents, great parents, but mentors and friends. And they're best friends for me. And they've always taught me to always know my core value, know my common north, so to speak, and to stay true to who I am and be courageous and even in challenging times. So for that, I thank them. They've been my biggest cheerleaders my entire life. From my earliest memories till today, they are my biggest cheerleaders. And they are getting ready to celebrate their 70th wedding anniversary. And we're actually having a party for them this weekend. So, they taught me a lot of values that I use in my work every day, both at the college and throughout my career, and in my work with the community, and then within my own family. So I could have asked for no greater parents, mentors, friends, and cheerleaders.
And you have a really special relationship with your father. He was an administrator for WSU, continues to be active here in our community, and you told me that he helped you learn about two very important things, and they both start with the letter P. So tell us about passion and purpose and what Dad has helped you with those two.
Sure. Anybody that knows my dad, Roger Lowe, knows that he is a very passionate and purposeful individual. And I have really, I admire that greatly. So I've really tried to put passion and purpose into everything I do. And the one thing I would say, as you're choosing where you're going to be involved and how you're going to evolve your career and how you're going to plug into the community and how you're going to plug into your family, if you know that it is your passion and your purpose, you will never work a day in your life. Because it's what you live for. It's the heart of who you are. It's the heart and the mind of what you want to do. So passion and purpose is so important, and he really taught me that. And I, again, hope that I can pass that on to a lot of people, because you have those two things, and you know that you're doing those things every day. Every day's a good day. Even some days the bear gets you and some days you get the bear, but every day's a good day if you are passionate and purposeful about what you're doing.
And passion and purpose are part of the way you lead your chosen family. So I had a chance to ask your partner in crime, husband of almost 25 years, how you have led in your family. And David and you have 6 grandchildren, with a 7th on the way this winter. And he told me one of the aspects he admires most about you and your leadership in the family is that even though you work long hours every week, you always make time for your parents, children, grandchildren, and your friends. He said she also instills in our grandchildren they can be anything they want to be whenever they grow up. What is that legacy you want to leave behind?
I think one of the things, I guess I'll give you an example. This was maybe a year ago, maybe longer. I took my young granddaughter, who was 3 at the time, to see Toy Story. And we got in the car, and I said, "What was your favorite part?" And she said, "That Buzz guy. I love that Buzz guy." And I said, "Well, so you want to be an astronaut?" And she goes, "Well, he was a boy." And I said, "Doesn't make any difference. Girls can be astronauts." So that year for Halloween, it was about a year ago this time, that year for Halloween, I got her an astronaut costume. And she, ever since, is so interested in everything to do with, science and being an astronaut. And she was signed up for the space camp at Exploration Place this summer. So no matter what, I try to look at each of my grandkids, and I try to help them understand the sky's the limit. And I also want them to know that I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure that, again, they realize their full hopes and dreams, just like I do with my children, and just like I do, with the people I associate with that are my friends. I think if I can fill their bucket at all, it's with encouraging them the same way that I have been encouraged my whole life by my parents.
You've definitely been a wonderful leader in those three aspects, and I know we have so much more that we would want to delve into, but I know that right now we have a breakout session coming up, so they'll discuss it, and I still have a few more questions when we come back from that breakout session. So in the meantime, while we go into the breakout session, I wanted to give some instructions beforehand so that we can continue networking and talking amongst a small group of people. You will go into a breakout room. It will be about 4 to 5 people in that room, and you guys will have 10 minutes to discuss any takeaways that you got from the conversation that we had today. And we really hope that you guys will engage with one another. And if you don't mind, please introduce yourselves in alphabetical order from the group that you're in so that we know who everyone is in that room. And when we get back, we'll continue having more Q&A time with your audience questions, as well as some more that I have up my sleeve. Welcome back from your breakout rooms, and I hear that there was some lively discussions, and we had one here too, so I'm just really glad that you guys are still with us right now. We still have some more questions to ask Sheree. We thank you again for the time that you're giving us and just talking about that unseen journey. I had a chance to, again, talk to your husband, and one of the questions that he asked that he thought that you might want to answer is, you mentor young people, women, men, helping them become the next leaders of tomorrow. What personal experiences or traits do you draw from to help mentor them?
When I do mentor people, I'm very focused on what they want to do and where they want to go. I think one of the greatest things that I get to do is help people that work with me or that I associate with reach the goals that they want to get to. So how can I be helpful in that? How can I remove barriers? How can I instill confidence in them? And so a lot of what I usually say is, you can be a leader in any position. Leadership is not positional. It is all about who you are as a person and the effect that you can make. And what do the rings in the pond look like for you right now? And where can you influence and be persuasive and lead? So everybody can be a leader in any sphere of your life. So that's one of the things I always tell people. And then the other thing is that you have to know who you are. I'm a big person on you have to be happy with yourself before you can be happy with other people. And so you've got to fill your bucket, whatever that means for you. How do you fill your bucket emotionally and so that you can spread that out to other people? And so it's a privilege to mentor people. I've had a lot of mentors in my life, and certainly a lot of them don't even know you're probably watching and you don't know that I watch you and you are a mentor to me. So I think it's extremely important to find those people in your life that you can relate to and that you can watch and learn from. And sometimes you just do it without any kind of formal conversation, frankly.
Sheree, you talked about dashes, and they often help define people, but I wanted to know how those dashes have helped you become who you are today. How have those dashes helped you? So
when they ask for a a title for this, I just thought about, the dash, live into your journey. Your dash is hopefully a long one, and it evolves over a period of time, and you are ever changing as a human being, and you are ever learning, you're continually learning, you're continually evolving, you're continuing to mature throughout whatever your dash is. And I think the thing that I always think about with this is that, number one, is leave this world a better place than you found it. And number two is live out that dash. And as you're living that dash, you've got to be true to who you are. You have to be able to sleep at night. You have to have, I always say, when you got the beginning of that dash, on that date that dash was established, you came into this world with integrity. And that is the one thing that no one can take away from you. And so during that period of time, if you can maintain that integrity in everything you do, whether it's your career, the work that you do in the community, with your family, maintain that integrity, and then you have, you leave this world with that. And that's an important piece to me as an individual. And I truly hope, and I work every day to make sure that my dash includes integrity.
We've talked about a lot of really positive and happy things, but I want to talk about adversity and how people can grow from adversity. Mm-hmm. How do you can you talk about some of the challenges, either professionally or personally, and where you draw strength from in order to overcome that adversity?
So, everybody's life is full of challenges, opportunities, tribulations, hard decisions. My personal life certainly at one point in my life was extremely challenging. I had 3 young daughters, single mother, looking for a new career and starting my master's degree. It was a tough time of life. But you know what? There is that continual place in all of us that we have that you dig deep and you know what you need to do, and you do it no matter what. It's the same thing. It's like that grit and perseverance that we look for in our students. I often say, if we could bottle the grit and perseverance of so many of our students, I mean, that's the key to their success. I think we're the same way. And then in those times, when you have those challenging times, whether they're professionally, they're personal, rely on who you are, rely on, for me, I'm a faith person, so I rely on my faith. I lean heavily on my friends. And I have lots of different groups of friends, and I rely so heavily on them, and I treasure them, and they're a support to me. And I think the other thing too is, don't be afraid to ask for help. If you need some help, whether it's emotional or mental or physical or whatever the case may be, don't be fearful. It's okay. It's okay to be uncomfortable, and it's okay to ask for help.
Sheree, what is that secret sauce that you have in order to be so positive? You have this can-do attitude, this positivity, and this energy, and you even talked about some of the friend group that you have, and they also have that special something. Where do you get it, and what is that special sauce?
I don't know that it's special sauce, but I just, I have a little frame next to my bed. And it was made for me by a friend many, many, many years ago, probably 30 years ago. And it says, rise up and meet each day with a smile. And it was something that my grandmother said to me when I was a little girl, and I always kind of remembered it. Rise up each day, start the day with a smile. It's the first thing I see every morning. And I just believe we have 2 ways to live our life. We either live it with passion and purpose, or we live it the other way. And through that passion and purpose, there's energy that comes through that. And so, you know, as you interact with people, that energy comes through. And think about the chemistry that happens between women as you become friends, because there's this chemistry but that you know, energizes you as a person, and also things that you do in your life. And it's the same thing in your family. So I just think every day we have a choice to make, and I think that day is, you know, that we get up and we start that day with a positive thought. We try to be as positive as we can throughout the day. There are rainbows and sunshine, and even on cloudy days, there are bits of a day that are always going to be good. Be thankful, be grateful, and be gracious with yourself.
Give yourself some grace, that's right. So what's that final nugget that you want to leave folks that chose to come in and have this conversation with us today? What's that final nugget you want to leave them behind with?
So first of all, thanks everybody for coming. This has been a real honor and privilege for me to be able to be here. You know, I was telling Lily, you always wonder, you know, what is that thing that you can leave people with? And, you know, I think I would just say this. Don't ever let anybody tell you can't do something. Be bold. Be committed. Be extremely passionate, and always try to get to yes unless there's a reason you shouldn't. And surround yourself with loving and supporting people in your career, in your community, and in your family. That's a great three-legged stool, and it will take you a long way.
Thank you again for sharing just that journey unseen, but really the three pillars to your leadership, which are, again, leadership in the career, in the community, and in the family. So thank you again, Sheree, for imparting so many nuggets today, and I appreciate all of you who joined today and made the choice to listen in, and hopefully you walked away with some good pieces of advice.
Sheree. You never disappoint. I can only say that the journey you took us on today was fire. It was really interesting to hear you say that Wichita State Tech WSU Tech is in the hope and dream business, because you have definitely been able to fulfill some of your dreams. And as a result of that, you've been able to fulfill the dreams of others. People like Andy, McFadden, I hear him in praises. And you're talking hungry and emotionally smart. Thank you for that. I'm constantly learning from you. And I do want to give a shout out to Mr. Lowe, your father, who's on with us today. So Mr. Lowe, you raised an awesome, beautiful young lady. So Wichita is really blessed to have such an action-driven leader, Sheree, as yourself. Thank you so much. And to all of you who've joined us for a portion or all four of our journeys, we thank you as well. There appears to be a number of you who have joined us for all four, and then there were some who this is their first time. I hope you were enriched by today and any of the others. Very pleased with the involvement and the results of the entire series. And I wish to thank the Chamber for focusing on women professionals and creating a space that we can provide opportunities to learn from each other. It's really been a delight getting to know our speakers and learning from their journeys. We know that there are so many other amazing women to continue highlighting, so stay tuned for 2021 for a series. You might even have some ideas of people you want to hear from. And for those of you who are Chamber members, here's some really exciting news for you. We're excited to be able to offer recordings of all of the entire series in the Chamber's new video library. That's right. All you need to do for access is to go to your Chamber member account with that information and you can log in through the Chamber's website. If you don't have that information, just log in and help will be on the way to help you get moving. So we'll share this information with you in a post-event email that you're going to receive shortly. But go online and you can hear all of these journeys through these amazing women. Again, Lily Wu, I would just like to thank you for moderating a very fruitful conversation on growth. You're always so on point. I mean, I think I want you to moderate something for me. I'll have to figure out what it is though. And I just think we need here to have, we are just happy to have you sitting here in this chair. So thank you so much. Also, Signal Theory, our presenting sponsor, thank you so much for making this series possible. We could not have done it without you and the other sponsors. And Sheree, your authenticity shows up. Again, thank you for sharing your experience and your knowledge today. Passion and purpose. I look forward to continuing to learn from you. And as a small token of our appreciation, we'd like to present to you a box of chocolates from Coca Dolce, who is our sponsor. We'd also say thank you to them. So please join me in thanking everybody who's involved today and for the opportunities for you all to stay engaged. You can visit wichitachamber.org and visit your events calendar. There's everything, there's a lot going on. So please go to our website, see what's going on. We look forward to seeing you next year. From me to you, signing off. Have a great day.